Ask any sports fan if they like an upset or an underdog story, and the answer will almost always be yes. And since there's no stage for sporting events bigger than the Olympics, these stories get tenfold the recognition as compared to any other event. So today we bring you some similar upsets and underdog stories from the Winter Olympics. Let's dive in. Starting at number 10, the Miracle on Ice at Lake Placid, 1980. When you think of a country that should rule the ice hockey world, the United States, home of the National Hockey League, would probably be at the top of your list. But the United States was only seeded 8th out of 12 competing nations in 1980. Why? Interestingly enough, the majority of their team came from lower-level professional leagues. When it came to this issue, the Soviets adopted a different tactic. Their team wasn't cobbled together from students. It was a major deal for them. This explains why they've been so successful in this sport during the past 4 Olympics, winning gold each time. The Soviet Union breezed through their group with relative ease. The U.S. managed the same feat despite nearly impossible obstacles. Away from the ice, the two countries were still in a tense Cold War standoff, yet they met in the first gold game. It was widely anticipated that the Soviet Union would triumph decisively, but it didn't. The victory was ultimately decisive. In their final match, the Soviet Union defeated Sweden 9-2, but the United States defeated Finland 4-2 and took the gold home. Then at number 9, we have Cool Runnings in Calgary, 1988. Of course, you already know about the Jamaican bobsled team, so this entry will be relatively short. We've all seen Cool Runnings after all. Undoubtedly, theirs was an underdog tale, but it wasn't a story with a technically successful end. After all, a man's worth isn't determined by the number of medals he has. Even though the Caribbean team's unusual appearance in the 4-man bobsled event didn't result in a medal, there was plenty of enthusiasm on display. This may sound condescending, but the fact that the team started out pushing carts down the street and is now competing in the international arena is truly remarkable. You already knew that the team would have to carry the sled across the finish line after it wrecked before the final stretch. We were all thrilled when, for the first time in almost 2 decades, Jamaica sent a team to the Olympic Games, with 4 men competing in Beijing in 2022. Moving on at number 8, Eddie the Eagle Edwards. Let's talk about one of the most recognizable figures in British Winter Olympics history. Give way to someone other than Jane Torval, no need to linger here, Christopher Dean. We believe that the towering figure of Michael David Edwards is the true hero of British Winter Olympics history. The correct name for him is Eddie the Eagle. Eddie's account of his 1988 ski jumping adventure in Canada brings to mind the Jamaican bobsled team. He took an unprecedented risk by trying out, and he ended up setting a British record by leaping 71 meters at the Olympics. Unfortunately, an Olympic record isn't even close to being within striking distance of a British record. The context is crucial. In the end, Edwards, the optimistic and likable character who won the hearts of people everywhere, came in at position 58. At number 7, Patient Steve Bradbury in Salt Lake City, 2002. Here's one that tickled our fancy. While the previous 3 choices are all well known, Stephen Bradbury's underdog story isn't quite as well known. It's surprising that the video of him winning gold in 2002 isn't broadcast more regularly on TV. In 2002, Bradbury competed in his 4th Olympic Games, and he made it all the way to the final in the 1,000-meter short track. The man had experience, but he was also an underdog in the last round. He'd only advanced that far because of a disqualification in the quarterfinals and a crash that eliminated the 3 top skaters in the semi. In a straight-up speed contest, Bradbury knew he would come in last, but he knew from experience that wrecks were inevitable after 11 years of racing in countless heats. You can sneak up on them from behind and take the victory. That was his plan all along. The Australian was in 5th place out of 5 runners after 950 meters, until the front group got tied up, and everyone just fell in a mass of skates and lycra. With only 15 meters left to go, Bradbury slid through the finish line area. The gold medal was his. He got it done in the most unbelievable fashion. Moving up the list at number 6, Esther Ledecka in Pyeongchang, 2018. The Olympic skier, who was born in Prague, was so good that she'd won multiple world titles in the parallel slalom. But Esther Ledecka wasn't a skier. That is, until she decided to give it a shot. Of course she could do it. She was a completely unknown athlete when the Czech squad for the 2018 Winter Olympics chose her. Anna Vaith of Austria, the defending champion, finished first in the women's Super G with a time of 1:21.12. The odds seemed to be in her favor. This was a problem until Ledecka took charge. Due to her poor starting position, she had almost no chance of winning. Obviously, Vaith won the gold. In a terrible hurry, Ledecka made her way down the mountain. It certainly wasn't a perfect showing, but it didn't take long. She completed her work and then surveyed the charts. Later, the 22-year-old admitted that she mistook the clock for someone else's. She ran the mile in 1:31.11. She missed out on an Olympic gold medal in alpine skiing by a mere 0.1 of a second. Now it's time to talk about some upsets, and that too at the most recent edition of the Winter Olympics. At number 5, Valieva falls to 4th. During the 2022 Winter Games, 15-year-old Kamila Valieva was a major media focus. Before the Olympics, she was already a lock to win the women's singles gold medal. The only question was by how much. Because of this, if she were to lose in the women's singles competition, it would be the biggest surprise of the Olympics. A week of constant scrutiny finally got to Valieva, but she was able to perform her free skate without it affecting her. But her short program was a nightmare. She wasn't able to cleanly land any of her quads, something she'd been doing with uncanny regularity before. In the end, Valieva's difficulties paved the way for fellow Russian Anna Sherbakova to take home the prize. At number 4, Mikaela Shiffrin skis out 3 times. If Valieva's fall wasn't the biggest surprise of the 2022 Winter Olympics, Mikaela Shiffrin's failure to finish any of her 3 events might take the cake. Let it be known that there's absolutely no denying that Shiffrin is among the best alpine skiers of all time. To be fair, she would probably rather forget her performance in Beijing. For starters, in the women's giant slalom, Shiffrin crashed out at the 5th gate. Everyone expected her to redeem herself in the women's slalom that followed. She got through the next few gates at most. Finally, after a solid downhill leg in the women's combined, she crashed toward the course's end. For her, the 2022 Winter Olympics were her last chance to take home an individual medal. In at number 3, Slovakia shocks U.S. men in shootout. Shootouts are a part of the Olympic hockey tournament, whether you like them or not. That was the score required to decide the victor between the United States and Slovakia in their quarterfinal match. With a 2-1 lead and with a minute remaining, it appeared the Americans would advance to the semifinals. But the Slovaks, sensing an opportunity at 6-on-5, withdrew their goalie. The score is now tied at 2 goals apiece after Marek Hirvik scored one that dealt a crushing blow to the United States. There was no scoring in the extra period. Shootout time, each team named 5 shooters for a best-of-5 round. Peter Cehlarik of Slovakia scored the game-winning goal. All Patrick Rybar of Slovakia needed to win the game for his team. In the shootout, he denied all 5 of the United States' attempts to score. Slovakia reached the semifinals, but were eliminated by Finland. Despite this, they beat Sweden for the bronze medal. Then, at number 2, USA upsets heavy favorite China in mixed aerials. When it came to the mixed team aerials competition, the United States shocked the world by taking first place. Several thrilling leaps were made in the event's Olympic debut. While China was the heavy favorite, American Chris Lillis, who won silver at the 2021 World Championships, had other plans. In the final, Lillis performed an incredible leap for a score of 135.0 by completing a back double full double full. Chinese leader Jia Zhongyang flubbed his takeoff, giving the United States an opportunity to advance. Lillis was joined on the U.S. squad by Ashley Caldwell and Justin Schoenfeld. Caldwell and Schoenfeld's consistent jumping earned them good scores of 104.31 and 124.43 respectively. China, who followed the United States into the final round, fell short of victory with a score of 122.17, needing 136.29 to do so. This victory marked the first gold for the United States in aerials since 2010. Lastly, at number 10, Kingsbury dethroned in men's moguls. Michael Kingsbury, a veteran of Canadian moguls, was going for a repeat of his 2018 Olympic gold medal performance. In addition to his overall 9 World Cup triumphs, he holds the record for most World Cup moguls victories. That scheme was derailed by Swedish politician Walter Wahlberg. In the 3rd and final championship match, Wahlberg defeated Kingsbury by a score of 83.23 to 82.18. Wahlberg has already been to 2 Olympics, but at just 21, he is likely just getting started. The Swedish nation's first ever freestyle skiing Olympic gold medal was won by him. With his silver medal, Kingsbury equaled mogul skier Kari Traw for the most freestyle skiing medals in history, with 3. That's a wrap for this video. Which one is your favorite Winter Olympic upset or an underdog story? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.